First of all, it is so great to have you here. I hope you're staying safe out there and you're making some good food at home. You know, in the situation we're in right now, many of us are spending more time at home than normal, so now is the time to find that inner chef inside of you. Anyways, today we've got a delicious recipe. We're making a Spanish tortilla de colores. This dish hails from the small Spanish province of Melilla, which is located in northern Africa. Now, this dish is not very well known outside of Melilla, but let me tell you, everybody needs to know about this dish because it's got so many beautiful textures and flavors. It's so easy to put together, and it's made with the most basic and humble ingredients. Folks, once again, this is one of those typical Spanish dishes where less is more, simplicity meets extraordinary, truly a treasure of a recipe. Let's begin by cutting a small potato into 4 evenly sized quarters. Then we'll grab 2 medium-sized carrots and cut each one into 1-inch pieces. These have already been peeled. And add the carrots and the potatoes into a saucepan. We'll fill it with some cold water to about 1 inch above the vegetables and heat it with a high heat. While our vegetables are cooking, let's make a couple hard-boiled eggs. I'm going to add in some cold water into a separate saucepan. You want to add enough water in there that when you add the eggs in there, it covers them by at least 1 inch. And we'll heat it with a high heat. Once the water comes to a boil, I'm going to add in 2 eggs into the saucepan. And we're going to cook this for exactly 12 minutes to get perfectly hard-boiled eggs. Alright, let's move back to the vegetables. It's been 18 minutes since I turned on the heat and they should be almost perfectly cooked. You can always pierce them with a toothpick. As you can see, you pierce that potato and it easily goes in. And then you want to pierce one of the carrots as well. It easily goes in, but with some resistance. You don't want to overcook the carrots. You don't want them to get mushy. For the next step, I'm going to add in 1/3 cup of frozen peas. And we're going to cook this for an additional 1 to 2 minutes just to make those peas nice and tender. Then we're going to remove the vegetables from the heat and drain them into a strainer. Okay, let's move back to our eggs. It's been exactly 12 minutes since we added them there and they should be perfectly hard-boiled. I'm going to remove the eggs from the heat and transfer the eggs into a bowl with some cold water. This is to stop them from cooking and it's also going to make it so much easier to peel them. While our vegetables and our eggs are cooling off, I'm going to crack 6 cage-free organic eggs into a large bowl. Like I always tell you, you can use whatever eggs you like, but the higher the quality, the better the dish is going to taste. And I'm going to beat the eggs together until they're well mixed. Once the vegetables are cool enough to handle, it's been a couple minutes, I'm going to remove the skin from the potatoes. Add the potatoes into a bowl. And using a masher, I'm going to mash down on the potatoes. We're basically making some mashed potatoes here. You can also use a fork to do this. And I'm going to add in about 1/2 cup of the mashed potatoes into the bowl with the beaten eggs. Then I'm going to grab the carrots and cut them into small pieces that are about 1/4 inch thick. And once again, add the cut carrots into the bowl with the mashed potatoes and the beaten eggs. Moving on, I'm going to peel the hard-boiled eggs. And cut the hard-boiled eggs into small pieces that are between 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick. And add the cut hard-boiled eggs into the bowl with the rest of the ingredients. We'll also add in our peas in there and generously season everything with sea salt and freshly cracked black pepper. And we're going to give this a mix, that way all these ingredients are evenly mixed together. Once everything's well mixed and there's no lumps in there from the mashed potatoes, I'm gonna add in 1 teaspoon of baking powder and give it one final mix. That way everything's evenly mixed together. For the next step, I'm gonna grab a rectangular non-stick baking pan. This one is 9 inches by 5 inches. Add in a generous tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and brush it all around. That way the egg mixture doesn't stick on there. If the baking pan you're using is not non-stick, skip the olive oil and make sure to line it with parchment paper, otherwise the eggs will stick on there. Then I'm gonna add in our egg and vegetable mixture into the baking pan. And we're gonna add this into a preheated oven, bake only option. That's just the bottom heat, 190 degrees Celsius, which is 375 degrees Fahrenheit. After about 35 minutes, this Spanish tortilla should be perfectly cooked. I'm gonna remove it from the oven. And you can always tell when it's perfectly cooked. You just pierce it with a toothpick, and if it comes out cleanly, it is ready to go. I'm gonna let this sit here for about 15 minutes. That way it can settle, and it also makes it so much easier to remove it from the baking pan. After about 15 minutes, I'm gonna run a paring knife through the outer edges of the tortilla. This is just to ensure that it's not stuck to the baking pan. Then I'm gonna grab a plate, place it over the baking pan and flip it. Give the baking pan a couple taps. This is just to ensure that the eggs are not stuck to the pan and they're easily released. And I'm gonna transfer the Spanish tortilla into a wood cutting board, folks. Check it out. Our Spanish tortilla de colores is done. Such a beautiful dish. And you can see by cutting it open, all those beautiful colors inside, ergo why it's called tortilla de colores. A beautiful dish from the small Spanish province of Melilla. Let's give this a try and see how it tastes. This truly came out looking absolutely delicious. Here we go. So good. Like I told you in the beginning, this is one of those Spanish dishes that are so simple, but it has so many beautiful flavors. But what makes this Spanish tortilla really stand out is all the different textures that it has. The hard-boiled eggs, the mashed potatoes, the peas, the carrots. It is so good. You know, this is an incredible dish from the small Spanish province of Melilla, Northern Africa. Serve it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Eat it warm, eat it cold, it doesn't matter. It is so good. You're gonna absolutely love it. Really quick before I go, a shout out to a couple of my patrons, Joan Novak, Jim Owens, and Joan Killico. Again, guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. For the rest of you, if you're not with me on Patreon, consider becoming one. It helps with ingredients and equipment to continue making videos like this and share these Spanish recipes with you. You'll find my Patreon link in the description box below and iCard above. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, leave me a comment below, and if you're not subscribed, smash the subscribe button. Till the next time, hasta luego.